Manchester United want to give Abrantia a friend of Bruno Fernandes a new contract offer, but Bruno say on sign it, so contract no. You better sound common or a higher on side with me, Joshua. Hello to now. When I come your way, always I bring you the latest in the transfer market as well as the world of sports, bringing you all the interesting sports conversations that across the world and especially in Europe. And if you have just joined me, guys, I beg you, subscribe to this channel. Turn on the post notifications. They be as I drop a video, you'll be one of the first people to receive that video. Near sound common about the transfers and about what is happening in the world of football. Thank you for joining me. If you are a new subscriber, I'm very happy that you have chosen my analysis. Thank you so much for coming here to watch it. And also, if you are a return viewer, thank you so much for coming back to watch my analysis. But don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe. After subscribing, click on the bell notification icon. You see an all. Miaso. Click on it as well. The BM drop a video, you will get it. Now, let's go straight into the point because news coming in about 24 hours ago is that Bruno Fernandes. Now, when I saw the news, I was a bit, I was trying to just look through with my mind's eye. And I mean, Bruno Fernandes said the contract now Man United for the person of the man now, no, he doesn't want to sign it. There's something happening at Manchester United now. My name is Man United fans, no, or customer realize here. Look, they are going into a season where Ombebo Champions League, Ombebo English Premier League, Ombebo FA Cup, Ombebo Carabao Cup. These are but a few of the competitions that United for compete. But Russian markets, they have not really made signings that much. Andre Santos for £50 million from Chelsea Football Club. Great addition to the team. Yuri Tielemans from Team IFN Aston Villa. Great addition to the team. But they know, they need to make 2 or 3 more signings if they need to be very competitive in this particular season. What are the positions that United for are crying? Say, Mpenyu for Ineos for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. They need to go into the market and make some purchases and bring into the team. Left back situation. Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has not been that fine. He's always been available. But Obia rely on in that left back role for Man United. Luke Shaw may not be the person this particular season. And to know United for be brave, listen to them carefully in their commentary and also their analysis. They will tell you that they need a diminutive left back. Even if not diminutive, they need a left back who can come in, give Luke Shaw proper competition and solidify his role in that position. Give Manchester United some depth in Sa role. No? That's number 1. Number 2, the holding DM role. Holding defensive midfield at the holding midfield role has been quite contentious for a while. And when you look at the transfer strategy of Michael Carrick in this particular window, now it will tell you something that United want to strengthen the midfield. So they've gone in for those 2 players, Ababo Mudin Dada. Then they have also made it clear, say Mason Mount also would be a very crucial member of the team, as well as Kobe Mainoo. So automatically, these are 2 players who also give you some squad depth. So, Yuri Tielemans, Andre Santos, bought from the market. Then we have already Kobe Mainoo, as well as Abrante FNA Mason Mount. But they've still not filled that DM role. So, Manolo Gatti were pra. And he may not be available for close to about a whole year. This morning, I heard that United are very, very close to the sign of Abrante FNA Carlos Baleba from Brighton and Hove Albion. And I thought this was super news for the team. Why? Because they are about to fill in that role and they are bringing a player that they have followed for a very long time. Sambe Kaya, I think 2 windows ago, the last summer, we got to hear that song, Baleba, 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 Banu, Banu, Kaya. Carlos Baleba. Last summer, And Manchester United for the Chisonko or Mefanaba from Brighton and Hove Albion, no, obviously not can ever Manchester United. But now, United are very, and that business, that piece of business is a silent business, but I think it's good. Because now, no, it will prepare the Manchester United team to get ready to compete. Because over the last few weeks now, after the 2 signings of some midfield players, now Mabo Mudinadano, people were wondering, wouldn't they sign? Wouldn't you sign that DM, that central defensive midfielder? That would give you a lot of bright options because now Komono Air cost say ABA, they were going to bring Aurelien Tchouameni from team my friend Real Madrid. But I was thinking about it, say, no, Real Madrid themselves, they need to fill that role. Right? So Tchouameni has not really been the answer to that particular team and what they want from that defensive, central defensive midfielder. Tchouameni has not been the answer. And yet, say, ABA, Abranti, a friend, Manu Kone from team my friend AS Roma, who also played very well for team my friend of France in the FIFA World Cup. He was a standout performer in that French national team. And he did so well. And in fact, the Manu Kone, there was a discussion, say ABA could be a swap deal between AS Roma and United. For Manu Kone comes this way, Marcus Rashford goes the other way. But I think that collapsed at some point. Then we also heard say Abia Kamavinga was the one who could come and fill in that role. But there was not much progress on that. Then finally they're going to get their man, friend Carlos Baleba for a long time. I'll come and do an analysis on Carlos Baleba and how he fits into Man United team way. But let me go to my substantive issue. And I'm person come about Manchester United. No, look. Few days ago, I was looking and analyzing Abrante FNA Bruno Fernandes and how far he's come in his career. Look, there's a reason why players behave the way they behave, or there's a reason why they do the things they do. Yeah. And Bruno Fernandes, he was speaking to Stephen Bartlett, and he was being asked about how he's able to motivate himself. And now Odin come on to the point that he acknowledged the fact that, look, throughout his career, he has had to make certain decisions. And sad decisions, those decisions were governed by the fact that, look, he ought to have challenged himself to achieve more. I'll give you a very typical example. Bruno Fernandes says that he gives 100% in the training ground because he knows very well, say, Okobogima, sa game now Okobono, he will have to give 100% on that pitch. And to him, if he's training, he has to get tired in that training. He has to feel that he has trained so that when he goes to play the match, he's able to use his maximum energy and get tired on the pitch. So it becomes automatic that because he trained 100% and trained really well, when he went onto the pitch, he managed to give everything that he could. Gave 100% and left it there. And none reason, and they say, if you give 70, 60, 80% in the training ground, once you get onto the pitch, in a real game situation, but it drew 80th minute, 81st minute, and the intensity of the game, no. Akosona, I wasn't Kawoki and try and get a winning goal if it's a stalemate between the two teams, no. Because you have not trained so well and you have not programmed yourself to push to the harder limit, no. You will find yourself relaxing in that 81st minute. And your lack of attention is what will cause the team to concede a goal and lose the game. Look at this kind of mentality that this player has. And I knew for sure, say, when it had to do with getting Bruno Fernandes to stay at Man United for a very long while, Man United wouldn't really have a problem. They would give everything that they have to the player because of his dedication and his commitment to the team. And since he signed for Manchester United in 2020, I've just been observing the player. Look, in so many respects, Bruno Fernandes has proven to everyone, say, he's not just a player who is here to make up the numbers. Because of how he is, he's able to go onto the pitch. He gives everything that he has. And sometimes his teammates are even surprised. Because look at the player. 8 goals and 20 assists for Manchester United last season. 12 Player of the Match awards, the most in the English Premier League. 6 Player of the Month awards. Only Sergio Aguero, Mohamed Salah, and Harry Kane have one more than him. They have 7 each. Then he has also won 5 Matt Busby awards for Manchester United. So you look at Bruno Fernandes and you ask yourself, look, what kind of person is this? And for such people, they always deserve the best. But now see Manchester United don't want to renew the guy's contract. And I'll take you through the figures because that is where the devil is. The devil is always in the detail. Isn't that what they always say? Let's look at it. Bruno Fernandes' contract situation at Manchester United. Currently, Bruno Fernandes is on a £300,000 a week contract. I will tell my friend at Manchester United. And this contract extension was signed in August 2024. And it even comes with bonuses at £3.1 million per year. Into ultimately meet targets bia. Sika no mbe ka ne contract sika or GN 3.9 million pounds per year. Now, in May of this year, they wanted to improve upon the contract. Now, how much more are Penyufono wanting to put on Bruno Fernandes in the contract? They wanted to give him only 500,000 euros more on what he's receiving right now, annually. So, Bruno Fernandes' annual salary is 15.6 million pounds. The new contract that is being proposed for him to sign is only adding 500,000 euros to the 15.6 million pounds. Which means, when you break it down, weekly, the player will be earning 308,000 pounds a week. This feels like an insult. I'm sorry I'm saying this. United fans, maybe you would, some of you will agree, some of you disagree. But for a player of his caliber, with what he has achieved, with the dedication and the effort that he puts into his game to improve every single day, I didn't think that United would want to give him just £8,000 in addition to whatever he's receiving currently as an improvement on the offer that he has. I'm sorry, but that sounds very strange. The player is reportedly asking for something around £400,000 a week. £400,000 a week. And I'm asking myself, can't United just... the funny thing is that 500,000 euros now, person kind of 15.6 million pounds is averaging around something around 420,000 pounds. So they just want to add only 420,000 pounds annually to his 15.6 million pounds yearly. That's annual salary. I think this is very bad. This is really pathetic. So if the player says he wants 400,000 pounds per week, it means that there's a gap. The gap is 100,000 pounds per week, approximately. Because he currently earns 300,000 pounds per week. The new contract proposal that you want to give to Abrantiano, you want to add only 8,000 pounds to it, which means the gap is still just around 100,000 pounds per week. And I'm asking myself, so now that he has rejected the offer, what is the response of Penyufono at Manchester United? Would they look to allow him to leave on a free transfer next year? Because he's into the last 12 months of his contract. The contract currently will expire in June 2027. So if the player says he wants 400,000 pounds per week, and you are only offering him an upward adjustment of 8,000 to amount to 308,000 pounds per week, just look at the gap. So, yes, he's currently the highest earner at Manchester United. And an additional 100,000 pounds per week to give him a new contract feels like it's on the high side. But Manchester United is a team that in this current season would want a better improvement in terms of performance from every single player. And Bruno Fernandes at that. Because you are playing in the Champions League. And he has been on record to have stated that one of his dreams is to win the Champions League with Manchester United. So if you are going or approaching things this way, does it give him the motivation enough to tell himself, say, in this particular year, nyame pese me with Man United, na Emma Obia any so say I've done my part at this club, which is winning the Champions League. Will we be able to do it? Maybe the player himself does not really need enough motivation, so to speak, through the money. But it's about the offer and what the club wants to put before him and how they want to reward the player. Bruno Fernandes is on top there as the player with the most assists per season. He's there with Kevin De Bruyne as well as Thierry Henry. How many players are able to do this? How many? And if the player dedicates himself, right, 5 solid years, let me just say 6 years, consistent effort, consistent input, his passion for United on the pitch, he gives 100% every single time he steps onto that pitch to play for Man United. Well, I don't know what Ineos and Serge and Ratcliffe, what their strategy is, but whatever is going on right now, it tells me that they are not willing to commit so much when they know that they would require results in this particular season that is about to unfold. And it reflects, even in the transfer business, they know very well that they need to sign. Michael Carrick has brought the team to a certain level where everybody does not doubt his competency and his capability. Me, as a CCA, I believe that Michael Carrick is the one who can do the job. Because number one, he's a Manchester United product. He understands the system. He's gone through it for a very long time. And becoming the manager through that very turbulent time that United went through under Ruben Amorim, he sort of came in, and when you ask all the players at Man United, he brought in a certain level of stability and peace of mind for the players. Then secondly, he also gave them some level of freedom where he gives them the instructions on how to play on the pitch, but he allows them to take key decisions when they are playing. And you know, with these indicators and with how Manchester United finished the season, it tells you that no, there's something special that Michael Carrick will offer this particular team in this particular window, in this particular season. But the transfer strategy looks like they don't want to accelerate. So all the signings that have come in so far are strengthening one particular area, which I agree. So Michael Carrick has demanded that those areas be strengthened, which is the midfield. But now, what about those key signings? Left back, defensive midfielder. Baleba is coming, so good news, which means he's left to the left back. So they had grown quiet for a while. And I'm not surprised, an opinion say Carlos Baleba and Subeba Manchester United. I was not surprised after we heard, say, the whole issue about Bruno Fernandes' contract extension had escalated last night and in the last few days. Look, United need to appreciate. They need to give reverence. They need to give respect, so to speak, to Bruno Fernandes. I don't think £400,000 a week hurts anybody. An upward adjustment of £100,000 to the player who has literally carried the team on his shoulders for a really long time, and all the players accept that this guy has been the transformative effect that has led the team through very difficult times, and his leadership qualities are stellar. You can't deny or dispute it. Give him the deal. Let him sign it. £100,000 a week, an adjustment. £400,000 a week. Bruno Fernandes, sign the contract. Because I'm pretty sure if you give him this kind of treatment, he doesn't mind retiring at Manchester United. And I get that feeling from him when I listen to him in interviews. Because player, he wants to dedicate his life towards the project. And before he joined Manchester United, with all the things that he had gone through, he knew very well that this was a team that was his dream. And since he started playing in 2020 till now, every single season, he gets better, he contributes bigger to the team. And if you give the player just £8,000 a week as an upward adjustment from a £300,000 per week, to me, it feels like an insult. I don't know what Manchester United people think, but it feels like an insult. So that is the situation with Abrante Bruno Fernandes, because if they want to get the best out of the team, it's about intent. It's not even about the money. And I keep saying this. Maybe Bruno Fernandes, no, he doesn't really need Sikano for BBR, but it's about the intention of the club. It's about the direction of the owners and the team, right? Because if you are doing this to Bruno Fernandes, who knows? It means that all the other players who may be due for new contract extension and all of those things, they'll do the same thing to them. Does it get the best out of them? No. The other players in the team will be motivated by money. They need to sign contracts that would give them enough motivation to play the way United want them to play. You don't do this for them. You go into the season, they don't really dedicate themselves, and they come back to square one. That has been the problem of Man United for a really long time. Because when you expect them to peak because of little issues, things just break down, collapse. Yeah. So I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has a lot of work to do. Because I don't think £8,000 as an adjustment to give Bruno a new contract is what is going to work for them. But let me know what you think, United fans. Tell me, is it worth taking? Or should Bruno Fernandes stand on his word? Because sometimes he's not the one who's going to enjoy the money. Right? Family is there, agents are there, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you are thinking about it that maybe a player no kwane be this kind of. But again, the whole issue has to do with the intent of the management at Manchester United and what they really want, the message they want to send, the signal they are trying to send. That is what really makes the difference. So I don't think the issue has to do with the figure £400,000 a week, which may be deemed as hefty. But what signal are you sending if you say you will not give the player the 400,000, you will give him instead 308,000? It feels like an insult, and that's just how I can put it. Liverpool have an issue. I said it a few days ago that I don't think Andoni Iraola in the dugout at Anfield will be that manager to oversee Liverpool get it into even the top four. It will be very difficult for him. The reason number one was because Curtis Jones is the last remaining scout in that team, and he's on the verge of joining Inter Milan for somewhere around 35 million euros. Number two, the pressure on Liverpool to perform this particular season is on an all-time high because they have made certain recruitments in the last summer window. They haven't really gotten a lot of returns from that. And the slot has been sacked. A new manager with a different profile altogether has come in the dugout. Andoni Iraola, Canada, so a manager, he more or less works well with players that have been all developing through time. I made that analysis, right? That when you look at players like Antoine Semenyo, Alex Scott, James Hale, as well as Abrantia Fernandez, Dominic Solanke, these four players, when they were at Bournemouth, look at their trajectory from 2022 till now, you realize that they are on an upward trend. And that upward trend, in one way or the other, sent a certain signal that they worked really well under Uriah friend Andoni Iraola. So that's the kind of profile that he has. As to whether that was taken into consideration, coaching Liverpool, I really don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that those are things that he would have to try and either put down, relegate to the background, and focus on what he has now. Because now he has ready-made players at his disposal. He needs to get the best out of them on the pitch. Right? In TCC, there's a Hugo Ekitike, there's a Florian Wirtz, there's an Alexander Isak, there's a Milos Kerkis. Right? All of these players were bought for huge amounts of money. And we've not really seen them spark or lighten up a Liverpool team in the Premier League. So a lot is going to come down to how he's able to get these players to work well. Aside that, he has a couple of players in the setup already who have question marks on their head. So Curtis Jones is number one, I mentioned him. Then number two is Jeremy Frimpong. who hasn't really had the best of times at the Liverpool, because the shoes that he's trying to fill in, Trent Alexander-Arnold shoes, at the right back situation, it looks like it's quite big. For him, I think it was time for Andoni Raiola to have a meeting with him and try and help him understand that in this season he's going to be an integral member of the team. Then we can see how the player can improve, because he was coming back from an injury. And that was also there. Then we have other players like Rio and Gumoha, who are young guys, who are in the team, who also need to step up in this particular season because they have big shoes to fill. And there's even a Victor Munoz, who has now joined from Osasuna, who has a lot of work that you have to do to warm or settle into the team. When it has to do with the defensive situation, they have a Jeremy Jacquet who is now getting warmed up to play in that team. So I'm really impressed about the fact that he even scored one goal against Como in the preseason. It was a good goal. Number 2, Omakofa Brantia Efreno, Ronald Araujo from Barcelona to come and join the setup is a loan deal. And perhaps he may even join Liverpool in a long-term deal when the loan comes to an end. He goes in there, he partners with Virgil van Dijk. I think that's a very solid defensive partnership on Mabelde. But let's look at the Bradley Barcola situation. Ever since Abranti Efreno Mohamed Salah free Liverpool, as they say, all traps on spawn, Liverpool have not replaced Mohamed Salah yet. They haven't. Now, the question is, who does that job? Who replaces Mohamed Salah? Maybe people would have thought that if you took 80 million into the market, maybe you went to Spain, you would have gotten a player who is about 25 years old, who you can bank your hopes on, that he's a player who you want to bring into the Liverpool setup and try and get him to fill the shoes of Mohamed Salah. Maybe not directly tasked with the role of filling the shoes of Mohamed Salah, but a player you can groom based on the philosophy of Andoni Raiola and what he has done with his track record at Bournemouth. But now, they are going to be bidding nothing less than £125 million to go into PSG's team, try and bring Bradley Barcola to come and join the team with the idea and the impression that he's coming in to fill the shoes of Mohamed Salah. That alone is some pressure. Let's look at the statistics, guys, and follow me very closely. Bradley Barcola last season, he played 29 games for Team Friend PSG. He scored 11 goals and made only 1 assist. And this is in stark contrast to what he did previously in the 2024-25 season. He scored 21 goals and 19 assists in all competitions. In both seasons, PSG won the Champions League back-to-back. So that's another context. But when you look at even the finals of the Champions League last season, he came from the bench. The other thing is that Bradley Barcola, as you see him, he's very young. He has about 2 years remaining on his contract. So the player himself doesn't really have so many options right now, even though he wants to leave. Because now, PSG for Omakofa Magnus Akliush, they brought him from Monaco. I think around 42 or 43 million pounds. Then they've also gone into the markets to bring Abrante Ferran Torres from Barcelona. 50 million euros. So that alone is a signal that players want to move away from you. And for Bradley Barcola himself, he'll be looking at himself and be saying that, look, in a team where I'm even struggling to compete for minutes because Kivica Kvaratskhelia is on heat, he's on steroids every time he's playing, he's literally on fire. He was relegated to the background for a while. And as we speak right now, even in the game that was played on Monday, Arsenal a weekend for I think one of the trophies, he was an unused substitute. Now, he didn't even make the match day squad. He was an unused substitute in the Super Cup game against Aston Villa when they won. So the signal is quite clear that he could leave. He cannot be the one to go and tell PSG in paying you for and say, I want to go. The right price needs to come. And when you look at it carefully, Liverpool are struggling to agree a deal with PSG. Why? Because Liverpool don't want to pay another club record fee for a player like Bradley Barcola. They've already done that for Alexander Isak. He has not really lived up to expectation. Of course, he came injury Sahano. So that's aside. But the point I'm making is that Liverpool want to try as much as possible not to spend a hefty amount of money on Bradley Barcola, breaking their own transfer fee record, the amount that they paid for Abrante and Alexander Isak, 125 million pounds. They could pay something just around the same region for the player. And also in this market, one transfer situation has now dictated the pace and dictated the amount as transfer fee that clubs want to take for their players. Until after Morgan Rogers signed for Chelsea for 117 million pounds, no, they say team here used to sack transfer story, no, and the transfer fee as an indicator as to how much they should be taking for certain players. So these are the contextual situations around this particular deal. Because Liverpool submitted 98.5 million pounds, which is around 115 million euros. But PSG want 128.5 million pounds, which is just around 150 million euros. So guys, think about it. The teams, both of them would have to come to a compromise with Finfinho, baby. So maybe at the end of the day, they may agree that the player should go for something around 120 million pounds. I'm not saying that is what will happen, but possibly because they have to meet somewhere, and that is what is going on right now. But even that, if you ask me, I thought that was too much. But if Liverpool are able to look into the future and say Bradley Barcola, he's coming in to solve a certain problem, or they can have a certain foresight or have a certain vision for the player, which can be communicated clearly through Abrante and Andoni Raiola to the player, then maybe they should go ahead and splash the cash. But as an analyst personally sitting here, if you ask me, I thought that was too much money. I thought that was too much money. Because I've showed you the decline in Bradley Barcola's numbers over 2 seasons. But personally, I don't even think that that is about the player's competency. His competence is not in doubt. I only feel the competition that he was facing in that PSG setup was quite difficult for him to just walk through and try and then remedy. It was always going to be difficult. But coming into the Premier League, in a team that is expected to perform because of the change in managers, number one. Number two, the exit of Mohamed Salah. Number three, the purchase and the high amounts of money that has already been spent on certain key players in that team. And Bradley Barcola walks in there and is expected to perform at a high level. He doesn't really seem to me as a player who is groundbreaking, walks into a team and is able to... He's a very good player, don't get me wrong. But the pressure that will come with playing for Liverpool at this particular time is what I think he may struggle with a bit. That is just what I see happening. And Liverpool, in general, I just think that this season they may have a very difficult time. They have a very good team. And in fact, they are still building. They may have to go into the market and buy 1 or 2 more players. But one shot, kind of we are not motion. Yeah. Maybe Andoni Raiola is the right man for them per their own assessment. But this is what I think. That it could be very difficult for them to just get into the groove and get the results rolling. Because the Liverpool team itself, aside the fact that they're undergoing a lot of transitions, they acknowledge the fact that things have to be very different from how it was last season. And the Slot won the league with them. Then last season, everything seemed to be crashing down simply because there were problems between the player, the coach himself, and a couple of players, especially Mohamed Salah. And it wasn't hidden from us. We all saw it was very clear. So at some point, Mohamed Salah said that even the 1 year remaining on his contract, he wasn't going to fulfill it. He was going to leave before Slot was sacked. And Andoni Raiola was the manager that they trusted and thought that he could come in and change the situation for Team IFN and Liverpool. And they need to go. Aside this, they're also trying to get a deal for Abrante and Ibrahim Mbaye. Maybe he makes more sense than Bradley Barcola. Because the deal for the player could go in excess of something around 50 million euros. Yeah. So I was even thinking that they should complete a deal for Ibrahim Mbaye first. So that if they have to drag in negotiations for Abrante and Bradley Barcola and Mpoa, maybe deadline day they could be able to strike an agreement and sign it off. But by that time, Ibrahim Mbaye is already part of the team and he's getting ready to play. Or the season might have already even started and he's getting warmed up into the team. So that in case Bradley Barcola doesn't come, he still makes himself available at PSG. He sees out the 1 year. If he has to sit on the bench most often and still come from the bench, fine. And he gets into the last 12 months of his contract, then he can push to leave the team. But as it stands right now, it's between the club to club because Liverpool and the player himself have agreed personal terms. There's no problem over there. But PSG don't want him to go for cheap because the player has won 2 Champions Leagues. So those are the things that PSG are holding on to request for more because players won 2 Champions Leagues back to back, and he was a very crucial member of the team that did that. So if you want to come and pick him away, you need to pay the right price, a premium price for the player. Liverpool fans, let me know what you think about this. Is Bradley Barcola worth the price? Are you going to go for him? Do you think Liverpool should be looking elsewhere? Maybe 80 million pounds. Go to Spain. Go get a player, 25, 26 years old, who is a bit more developed in his prime, more matured, can come into the Liverpool team and be very competitive. Barcola is 23 years, still young, and you're going to splash over 100 million pounds on him. Looks a bit outrageous. This has been Onside with me, Joshua. You can also call me Top High Fabrizio. Guys, subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post notifications. And they'll be drop a video. You'll be one of the first people to receive it. Until I come your way again, I'll see you in the next one.